Well, good evening, my lovelies. And first up, apologies for putting you in a bit of a cleft stick situation. I was of the understanding that Mustard wasn't live streaming tonight. So I moved back to my normal time of 11, which is what I always used to do on a Tuesday night, until the good captain decided to double up on his Friday one. Yeah, it turns out he is doing one. So you've got two of us blabbering at you all at once. So yeah, apologies for that. It was not exactly planned, but a very good evening to you. And two things today. One is I really want to know how you're doing and tell me the truth. And the reason I'm asking is because I've had just a really pants day, emotionally and mental health wise. And if I ask you how you're doing, that gives me an excuse to tell you how I'm doing without it being, I don't know, self-obsessed or seeking sympathy or anything of that nature. But to keep things light, I'm also going to introduce the first edition of a little game. Now, I don't want you to obsess on this, but it can run all the way through the live stream and you can dip in and out. And the game is called Boaty's Infuriator because, trust me, it's going to infuriate you. And the way that it works is this. I'm going to ask you to guess 3 things, but you're not allowed to make an individual guess, if you get me. You have to guess all 3 things at once. So if I asked you to guess 3 numbers between 1 and 10, you couldn't say 3. You'd have to say 3, 6, and 9, or whatever the numbers you wanted to choose were. And I would tell you if you've got any correct, how many you've got correct, but I won't tell you which one is correct. And you'll have to look at other people's answers as well to try and work it out. And if you hadn't already guessed, the first edition of this game is going to be with these 3 Schwartz herbs and spices. So what you have to do is you have to guess which herbs or spices these 3 are. And I'll give you a jolly good look at them, being careful not to show you the actual name. So you've got that one there, and it's a green lid. That's a clue. You've got that one there. Have a look at that, with an orange lid. And then you've got this fellow here, and that's got a purple lid. So there you are. At any time that you feel so inclined, throw out 3 guesses, and it has to be all 3, as to what those are. So there you go. That'll keep us going till midnight, won't it? In a moment, I'm going to do a live wine test with a nice bottle of wine that was very kindly given to me by the lovely Matt, my unpaid intern, who's worth every penny I don't pay him. But let's just see who we've got with us. Who is Mustard still going, by the way? I hope he is. I did offer to cancel this and he could just plough on. I wouldn't wish to tread on his toes. Anyway, Black Lines is here, splendid. Jimmy Quinn, hello Jimmy. Matt, of course. Trisha Alderman, good evening Trisha, how are you? And your good hubby, of course. The lovely Mike is here, or as I believe I heard James of Chopped Garage call him, Mad Mike. Can't think why he calls you that, Mike. But Mike is, of course, Classic Wheels Wales. Liz is with us as well, Jabberwocky 220 GTI. Skick is with us, and has reminded me that there was something else that we're going to talk about, which we can roll into the old mental health, emotional well-being, all of that malarkey. So yeah, I hadn't forgotten that, Skip, but thank you for the reminder. Simone is with us and says buttocks, and I say buttocks back to Simone, and indeed all of you. Hello, good evening, and buttocks. Nitro 2202 is with us and says hello, first time in Boaty's stream. Well, my goodness me, Nitro 2202, you are once, twice and thrice welcome. It is nothing less than an absolute joy to have you here in our little community babbling as we plough on towards the midnight hour. Matt's breathing and he says that's a win. Oh, hello. Plop's Garage. The mystery that is Plop's Garage is with us and says, hello, much better. Less farting on this channel. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know whether it's terribly old-fashioned of me, but, you know, there are ladies watching apart from anything else. And it just seems incredibly disrespectful to break wind. I couldn't do that. Now, okay, I'm a chap, and when I'm around other chaps and you're in a well-ventilated situation, you know, a nicely posed bit of body burpery can be quite amusing, but to do it on a public live stream when there are ladies present, I mean, just not on, it's not done, it's not cricket. How dare you fart before my wife? I'm terribly sorry, sir. I didn't realise it was her turn. But there we are. Welcome, Plop's Garage. It's a sheer orgasmic delight to have you here. Simone has got some interesting information for us and says, my near side headlight blew in the 75. Oh, bloody hell, Simone. Now, normally a headlight blowing is no great deal, but on a Rover 75, and yours is diesel, isn't it? Yeah, that it is a big deal on a Rover 75 because it is virtually impossible to get to. You can just about do it if you crank the wheels right over, and then in the wheel arch there's a kind of little inspection hatch that you can remove, and then you have to bugger about blindly in order to get the bulb out and to replace it. It's a right old fiddle. And I know what I'm talking about, and I kind of speak from experience, but not personal experience, because as anybody who knows me knows, the chances of me getting under a wheel arch, finding a hatch, pulling it off, and successfully wiggling about in the innards are quite unlikely. So my information comes direct from the AA man, who I get out to change mine. Bloody hell, they charge you enough per month now. So don't be frightened to get the AA out. You know, consecutive words that begin with vowels can be jolly tricky, I find. Interesting. So anyway, yeah, so good luck with that, Simone. I finally replaced the registration plate for my little Yamaha 125. Other than that, my guts hurt. Trapped wind, Simone? Not something that Mustard suffers with. And speaking of Mustard, he is amongst us saying hello, strangers. So you didn't have to stop, mate. I would have gladly cancelled or held off until midnight and let you run your course. I didn't think you were doing one. I did check, and you didn't appear to be doing one. So so I thought I'd jump in a little bit earlier because I've had a bloody awful day. And I fancied an earlier finish. So there we are. Oh, we've got our first guess on Boaty's Infuriator, and it comes from Matt, who says oregano, cumin, and thyme. And I can tell you, Matt, that you have scored 0 out of 3. But that's got the ball rolling. So do check out Matt's answers, because you can eliminate oregano, or as our American friends would say, oregano. You can get rid of oregano, cumin, and thyme. They no longer need to take part in your suspicions. Less farts, says Plops, although that should grammatically correctly be fewer, except for the old one in the middle, and I'll take that on the chin, Plops. There is absolutely no question that I am an old fart. Now, some people say that I was born old and grumpy, but I take issue with that. I like to think that I achieved it the hard way through bloody hard work. People can cheat due to the different lids. Well, they can't cheat. They can narrow it down to a certain range. The lid colours are a clue, but they can't actually cheat. Indica, sativa and a hybrid. 0 out of 3. Jimmy Quinn doesn't care about silly games, and quite right too. GUU is here and says hi Boaty and all. Plops comes out with basil, mustard and weed. Do I win? No. 0 out of 3. Mustard should have kept streaming and got you on for the guest spot. I did think about that. Right, this is getting interesting now, my lovelies. Chops Garage is with us. Good evening, James. I hope you're well. Watched a couple of your videos today and very much enjoyed them. And he says, Plops Garage, I'm going to have you, which would suggest to the keen-eyed detective amongst you that Plops Garage is not Chops Garage under a nom de plume, but rather an imposter with mischievous intent. And he had the cheek to be banging on about whatever car it was that James sells about 16 of a day. What is it? A Hyundai i something or other. And he was talking about how many of them there are down there in Pumpkin Land. GUU says, I may be called away at any time. Right, well, thank you for the warning. Oh, and Plops is coming back. And Plops is saying, my garage was first, James. So, oh dear. Right, they're just arguing amongst themselves, basically. That's grand. And we've got a message health review. This will be filth, and it's from Jimmy Quinn. And his particular bit of filth is Plop sells shit cars chops. There we are. General Cheeseburger is in our midst and says, good evening, Mobix. No idea. Burping is fine though, says Mustard. Well, again, being an old school gentleman, I always try to quell a burp. You know, I will try and, you know, constrain it behind a socially acceptable closed fist. Although I will admit that towards the end of my live streams, when some wine has been consumed, they have been known to pop out. Simone kindly lets us know that she farts frequently. Yeah, I mean, we all do, Simone. It's a natural thing. But, you know, farting is a weapon to be deployed with caution. You know, there's a difference between, you know, farting in a well-ventilated situation can be amusing. Farting in a car in winter when you don't want to open the windows is less so, arguably. Rover Joe again is in our midst and says, oh, Boaty, how glad I am to see you live. I hope you're doing well, sir. That's enormously kind of you, and may I throw the same sentiments back at you. Black Line says, with with a chastising note in his voice, you dressed as a priest. Well, I dressed as a priest because I am a bloody priest. So it's not like I dressed up as something that I'm not. I'm a minister of the church. I'm entitled to wear the dog collar. Just because I don't always wear it doesn't mean that I'm not entitled to wear it when I choose. And talked about incest the other night, Boaty. I think farting would be like you. I did not. I refute that. I refute that doubly. I did not talk about incest. There was no incest in that nice story. If you remember, the nice mother had fairly frenzied and orgasmic pottering session with a porn star who wasn't related to her at all. Now, admittedly, the daughter did film it, but that's not incestuous. She wasn't involved in any way, so you can jolly well take that back, Black Lines. Jimmy Quinn says you've got some lovely cars for sale, chops. And Stephen S. Paul is with us from across the old herring pond and says, good evening, boatmen and English persons. And we all say good evenings back to you. Mike says, Jimmy, the best ones he gets off me. Do you know, I swear to God, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but when he mentioned the price on the Capri, the first time he mentioned it, I'm sure he said 995 rather than 4995. Plops Garage says, I did see a Freelander the same as yours, Boaty, outside Ripley Fish and Chips. Right, if you're talking about tonight, then yeah, I did take Boo to work. So you might have seen it outside the restaurant, and just for the, just to make it absolutely clear, the restaurant is not a fish and chip shop. It's an award-winning, fine dining Asian fusion restaurant specialising in authentic Nepali cuisine. But it is quite amusing too. And it is just round the corner from Ripley Fish and Chip Shops, I suppose. So again, I'll take that one on the chin. Mickey Jeffries is here, one of my esteemed channel members, all of whom have my everlasting thanks for their support, as indeed do you all for supporting me in any way, shape or form, even if it's just popping along to these live streams and keeping me company, or watching my videos and leaving the bloody knob alone when the adverts come on, thus earning me upwards of a shiny tuppence a time. I'm incredibly grateful to all of you, and one of these days I will show my gratitude in a real life situation by embracing you in a manly and friendly way. With your permission, obviously. It wouldn't be an unsolicited embrace. Oh, right, Mustard's weighing in on Boaty's Infuriator, and he's gone for basil, turmeric, and 5 spice. And I can tell you, Mustard, 0 out of 3. Oh, that's exceptionally kind, Plops. Plops Garage has bunged me a mighty £2, for which I am incredibly grateful. Thank you very much. That'll go in the pot. Basil, pepper, and grandma's ashes. God, I have got some ashes in this cottage, actually, but they're not grandma's. So, basil, pepper, and grandma's ashes, 0 out of 3. Weed, and weed, says Mike. No, no, and no. Again, 0 out of 3. I'm doing a bloody live stream. What are the chances that even if I had weed, which I don't, I watched Grange Hill when I was a boy, just say no. I mean, God knows I say yes to everything else. Alcohol, cigarettes, gambling, reckless pottering, breaking the law with gay abandon when it suits me. But yeah, never gone down the drugs route. I've got an addictive personality. Anything that I enjoy, my body immediately demands industrial quantities of. So, you know, that's why I'm a fat, chain-smoking alcoholic. I daren't take bloody drugs as well because, you know, I'd start with a single puff on a doobie or whatever you call them, and I guarantee you, within 18 hours, I would be mainlining heroin. That's just the kind of person I am, so I've never dared go there. So it's 0 points for you, Mike, I'm afraid. Those tubs on your table, says General Cheeseburger, remind me I have to drop off a sample of my poo to the doctor. Brilliant. Right, well, thanks for sharing that, Cheeseburger. I think you've probably brightened up many an anticipated supper there. Let's just hope that nobody's having sausages and gravy, eh? Nitro 2202 says, if any of those are weed, you need to change your dealer. Matt is struggling to get a clear view of the jars on my phone, and he's going to get out. What? Oh God! Right, I have to apologise for what I'm about to read out. Brace yourselves, darlings, please. I'll get out of the bath and put the Chromebook on soon. Are you watching this in the bath? I don't think we're on those terms with you, are we? I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I don't think we're on naked terms in this community as yet. And I'm not sure how comfortable any of us could be with you watching us naked. Dear God, remind me never to invite you to co-host. Right. Chop says I'm the Pumpkinland Hyundai Rescue Centre, and that was said with a note of pride, and why not? The Hyundai urinator, something to pee about in. Oh dear. James pipes up again. I appreciate the aggressive nature of your message, Jimmy. I'd like more withheld comments in my support, please. Filthy language, hidden attacks again, Plop's garage, please. Oh, hello, Trace is here. Stand by your beds. Evening all. I'm late thanks to a partially expected phone call. Hope we're all well. Oh, and on that note, Plop says I'm off. What's Tracy done to you, Plops? Why do you feel the need to bugger off as soon as Trace shows her face? Due to not putting the heating on and rapidly cooling bath water, oh Christ, more information that we don't want from Matt. I shall be forced to self-identify as Matilda for the rest of the night. I think he's saying that that his little tinkle is inverted due to the cold. Oh, a hidden comment from Chops. This'll be filth. Right. Chops is weighing in on Boaty's Infuriator, and he's going for Viagra, horny goatweed, and ground rhino horn. What are you trying to say, Chops? Do you consider that I obviously, very obviously and blatantly need help in that department? Right. All of the others, the regular devotees of my live stream, and we actually mentioned it last night, they have heard at full length the story of the one and only time that I took Viagra and the 12 horrendous hours that ensued due to being in a relationship with a nymphomaniac who thought all of her Christmases had come at once. And, oh God, don't make me revisit that memory. Oh dear. Anyway, 0 points, Chops, I'm afraid. It's like watching the Dalai Lama, says Dave Smith. Good evening, Dave Smith. Oh, hello. Cheeseburger says, Chops, we have a complete army here. We do have a complete army, which has already deployed several skirmish-type sneak attacks. We're planning the big one. We have already mobilised against the infidel. Plops will be a drop in the ocean or pan. We did mention Chops, didn't we, when we set Dad's army up? And I think we decided that Chops was one of us, didn't we? I'm sure we did. Yeah, we definitely. Yes, we did, because we were talking about the drainpipe of dreams, and we decided that Plops was definitely one of us and wouldn't go onto our big list of enemies. What? Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Oh, Jimmy Quinn is weighing in on the stupid game that he didn't want to be involved with. And he's gone for seasonal, paprika, and onion. And Jimmy, thanks for joining in. But 0 out of 3, I'm afraid. So that's narrowing it down now. How many can be left? Capris haven't been 995 for about 15 years. Yeah, I wish I still had one of mine. I think I've told you this before, that one night here in Chesterfield, going back a couple of years, I was going through the motoring section of the local paper. Do you remember the local papers and the motoring section? And there was a Capri 280 Brooklands for sale for £1,000 or near offer. And I thought, well, I And at the time, I was still running the classic car dealership and auction house. And I thought, that can't be right. And I rang them up. It was pitch dark. And I just went straight down there with a bundle of money in my hot little hand to check if it actually was a 280 Brooklands. And it was. And it had sat in this garage for a while. And it had a big old biff in the driver's door or passenger door. Can't remember which. So obviously I bought it there and then. Got it started, drove it home, and this was on a Saturday night. And then on the Sunday morning, I stuck trade plates on it and drove it down to the dealership. And immediately did sod all to it, and immediately put it on eBay with a 99p start. I got deluged by people, and I was determined to let the auction run. And bear in mind, I'm going back a while. God only knows what they're worth now. I mean, at this point, oh God, when would it have been? I would have been about 34 or 35. So we're talking about 18 years ago, something like that. And I was going to let the auction run. And everybody kept asking, what price we're buying now? What price we're buying now? I said, no, I'm going to let the auction run. And somebody got a bit more to the point and said, if I come up with a trailer and 6,000 quid now, can I have it? I said, yep. And he did. So there you go. God only knows what a 280 Brooklands is worth now. I'm so out of touch. And I can't go down the route of thinking of all the cars I sold and the price that I sold them at, and the cars that they and the price that they fetched now, because I would burst into tears. I lost count of the number of fully running, MOT'd, respectable looking E-types that I sold for 4 figures. God almighty, try doing that now. Mark II 3.8 Jags, 3.8 overdrive, wire wheels, selling for 4 grand. Jasper Cadet's Ferrari that I let go for 26. What the hell would that be worth now? Anyway, Nepali battered sausage in Ripley. Okay. Oh, mic's off. No, I don't mean award-winning Chips, Dave Smith, and you're a little tease. You really are a little wind-up merchant. You know my restaurant, and I know that you know the restaurant. Now, before I bang on, I'm desperate for a drink of wine. It's been sitting there getting warm. And I've finally opened one of the bottles very kindly brought to me by the lovely Matt. And this is a Languedoc Appellation d'Origine Protégée. It's 2021, so it's incredibly new. It's a Grenache. It's 13%. That's the important number on there. And on the scale of sweet to dry, it's coming in as a number 2, which means that it's dry, but not as dry as something like a Chablis or a Muscadet Sévrin or a Puy Fumé or something like that. So I will now try it. Cheers all, bottoms up, your very good health. Oh, I tell you what. Now then. That is an absolutely lovely drop of splash, is that? That is very nice indeed. Now, we'll have to see how it lingers on the palate, because, I tell you what, that is hitting right at the back of my palate, or as I like to call it, my Pontius palate. Yeah, right at the very back of the nerve centres, and it's lingering there and tingling. That is that's a very nice drop of wine, is that? Well, I think it's fair to say that I will have absolutely no difficulty in finishing that bottle. Oh, in fact, I wish I had another one. So, thank you very much indeed for that, Matt. Cheers, very much appreciated. Oh, that's fabulous, actually. That really is good. That really is good. And finally a win on the scratch card. Yeah. For those who are not a member of our Facebook group, and quite frankly, if you're not a member of our community Facebook group, why not, is the only question. If you're not a member, get your bums on there. Search Facebook for Boaty's World, because we can't do everything on live streams and in the comments. Sometimes, in order to interact properly, the logistics of a Facebook group is so much better, especially for organising events and things like that. So I did put this in the Facebook group earlier today, but amongst a bundle of lovely things that Matt brought me, well, he brought us 4 scratch cards. One for Mustard, which Mustard scratched in Mr. George Boaty yesterday, and he lost. We've still got Boaty's Choice here, and that is going to be going to Simone, but who has pinged me her address, thank you very much, but I forgot to send it. I'll do that tomorrow. And there's this one that's going to a community member, and we've got I'll tell you what, this can go to whoever guesses Boaty's Infuriator. There you go, a valuable cash prize almost to the winner of the Infuriator. So there you go, there's that. And he bought one for me. And I won £5. Look at that. Hey! So, a double thank you to the lovely underscore, who I will remind you once again is my unpaid intern and is worth every single penny that I don't pay him. I always leave your knob alone, says Mustard. Yeah, thank God. I was going to ask you then, I was going to say, seriously, when you watch my videos, do you skip the adverts? And then I thought, well, that would be a stupid thing to ask, because I know that you never watch my videos. But yeah, you do always leave my knob alone. Mustard and I have been friends, jolly good friends now for, God, is it a year yet, Mustard? It's got to be knocking on a year, hasn't it? And we have shared a very small 2-berth caravan and a road trip to, oh, I'm getting a lovely fiery trail down. That wine is working its way down nicely, and it's leaving glowing tendrils of absolute wonderfulness as it goes. You know, when you buy cheap acidic white plonk, and God knows I'm an expert at that because it's all I can damn well afford these days. You know how it leaves an acidic trail of betrayal and regret as it goes down your gullet? This stuff doesn't. This stuff leaves I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely warming, but do you know, I apologise if this offends anybody, but this wine going down, if you'll forgive the expression, it feels like oral sex. It really does. You've got that sensation of heat, and I'm not being sexist here because, you know, ladies can be orally spousalized as well. It's It's not a one trip. Well, let's not go down that rabbit hole, shall we not? But that's what it's like. It's like a sensation of heat followed by a sensation of pleasure that grabs you. And that's exactly what's going on down my gullet here with this splendid bottle of wine that I'd recommend to all. Oh, I might shoplift some of this. Oh, that is fabulous. Where did I get to? Don't leave plop, says Chops. We need a baddie to rally together against. Oh, no shortage of those here. Stephen S. Paul picked up a rather weird little English car today. A 1965 Vauxhall Victor wagon. That's not a little car, Stephen S. Paul. Are you having a go at the British again? Because everything in America is bigger and better. I remind you, I've lived in America twice, and bigger is not necessarily better. A Vauxhall Victor wagon, as you call it, or a state, as we would call it, is not a little car. It might be by your American standards, but not so much by ours. We don't need those big mahoosive cars because we fit our cars with steering wheels. Yeah. Anyway, it's red with a red leather interior. What? It's got a Studebaker 289 V8 with a 4-speed and has a roof rack. Solid. God, that sounds like a right bloody hodgepodge. And what the hell is a 1965 Vauxhall Victor wagon doing out where you are? How did that find its way there? Right, Mike's off, says good night to everyone. Good night, Mike, you take care, mate. Catch up with you soon. I'm with you, James, says Dave Smith. Plop's garage was not open before yours. Boaty, are we going to be doing any shenanigans at Pride of Longbridge? Well, I'm not, Rover Joe, because I'm not going. I did think about going, but then I remembered that in order to go to Pride of Longbridge, I would have to go to Birmingham, I would have to get up really early, and then I would have to stand about in a field all day with a load of cars that I'm sure are lovely, but many of which I might not be particularly interested in. And then I've realised that I wouldn't be back in time for the restaurant. So for all of those reasons, and the fact that I would just generally rather have colonic irrigation than go to a car show, I'm afraid, sadly, I'm unable to attend due to really not wanting to. But feel free to get up to any shenanigans on behalf of the community. In all seriousness, my dislike for car shows, or my distrust is probably a better word. My distrust of car shows is well publicised, but I have promised that I will go to them this year, and I will. Pride of Longbridge, in all seriousness, wasn't possible. I could have gone down with Mustard, but it was a stupidly early start, and I'm not going to be getting home from the restaurant until about 1 a.m. I'm going to be tired. And I wouldn't be back in time for the Saturday night service. So it just wasn't to go. But I am going to go to car shows. Despite the fact that I disparage them mercilessly, I am going to go to them this year. But I'm going to do it ironically. I've said it before, this is the plan. Mustard and I will tow the caravan to a car show, and we'll stay in the caravan, we'll make food, and we just won't leave it. And if anybody wants to talk to us, they can come into the caravan. We're not going to do the bit that everybody does. There's going to be about 3,000 people at POL, and 2,998 of them are going to be making videos for YouTube. So we're going to go a different route. We're going to rock up to a car show with a caravan and just lounge in it. And see, I can do that. I don't mind ironically visiting a car show. I just object to the idea of of trying to get in with the car show way of thinking. I can't do it. I don't want to spend 4 weeks tittifying my car up so that a load of strange people that frankly I'm yet to care about can look at it and think, well, that car's clean. I don't care. I don't care whether they like it or not. I don't care whether they think it's clean or not. It's my car. My cars are for, well, I was going to say they're for me, but of course I plaster them all over bloody YouTube, don't I? But I don't tittify them for other people's benefit. When I valet my cars, it's for my own pleasure, not for those of other people. And, well, I might as well do the full rant. I don't need my interest and my love for my own cars to be validated by other people backing it up and saying, yeah, it's okay, you can love that car, we love it too. I don't need that. I don't need validation from third parties. I'm perfectly comfortable with my love for my cars. I will declare it here openly. Just outside of that wall right there, that 6 foot thick stone wall that's been there for about 800 years, is a Land Rover Freelander called Boo. And I love that car with all of my heart and soul. And I don't need to take it to a bloody show, polish the arse out of it for 4 weeks, and have a load of people troop past it and film it for YouTube to validate my feelings for it. And I think it's weird that other people do. I've said it before. It's like going to a meeting, doing your wife's makeup for 4 weeks, dressing her up in her best clothes, turning up somewhere, standing in a field, putting your wife there with a note on her chest saying, this is a 1974 wife in really good condition. I've fitted it with stockings and suspenders and it goes really well and it's economical and easy to store. And getting people to troop past it and saying, that's a lovely wife, is that? Oh, I wish I had a wife like that. It's weird. It's not right. Although I did have a really interesting thought. You know, all of these YouTubers, of which I suppose I kind of am one now, they all do this mutual bottom sniffing thing where they all test each other's cars. I mean, the lovely Joseph Lloyd, and I am very fond of Joseph Lloyd. I've never met him, but I'm very fond of him. And if I met him, I think that I would like him enormously. However, his Rover 45 is the biggest tart car on YouTube. I think me and Mustard are the only two motoring type YouTubers never to have driven the bloody thing. And even Mustard and I are doing it now because Mustard tested Boo yesterday, and with a video that I actually quite liked. So in a sense, we're no better. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be interesting if we actually went down my idea of showing off your cars to strangers is like turning up to a dogging session with your wife, making sure she looks really attractive, and asking, you know, and asking other people to look at her and say whether they think she's attractive. And even worse, if they've got a YouTube channel, they can have a go on her and tell other people what they think. Well, yeah, but if we actually did that, I just thought that would be a really interesting idea. If you did like a road test and review on other YouTubers' wives or husbands. And I was thinking about that earlier today because I've got a particularly warped mind. And I just thought it'd be a really amusing thing to do. Now, I'm not suggesting that you actually do it, but as a spoof thing, I thought it would be hilarious if one of us did a test drive and review in the way that we normally do it with a car, but we did it with a wife instead. And, you know, pretended that there'd actually been some pottering going on. And I just thought that that would be amusing because I'm quite a sick man with a very warped mind, and the strangest things do amuse me. But I was answering a question, wasn't I? Yeah, I'm not going to POL, but yeah, organise your own shenanigans, basically. Everybody else is going to be there. Did he say reckless toddering, asks Chops. No, pottering, dear boy. Pottering. Pottering. The act of, you know what. beastliness, uniting your unmentionables, podgering. Oh, and Cheeseburger has indeed just, corrected that. Morning, Boaty. Guess the herbs. Oh, it's Dinosaur Dad. Hello, mate. Lovely to have you with us. Hope you're doing okay, by the way. I like to just check in with you, make sure that I've had a pants day, mate. So, hope you're doing okay. Yeah, it's Boaty's Infuriator. You have to guess the contents of the 3 Schwartz spice and herb jars. And the rules are, you're not allowed to just guess one. You have to guess all 3 at once, and I'll tell you how many you've got correct, but not which ones you've got correct. Oh, Tricia says allspice, cumin, and mint. And Tricia, great guesses, but I'm afraid it's 0 out of 3 for you, my lovely. Are the contents from a cat tray or bird cage? Asked Cheeseburger. No, those are the genuine Schwartz doings from my vast array of Schwartz herbs and spices, which I've got organised in, well, they're organised first by type, i.e. cap colour, and then they're in alphabetical order within each colour, because it's not impossible that I am slightly elevated from normal on the OCD spectrum. And again, right, there's no such thing as OCD, as in a binary thing. You're OCD or you're not, right? It's a spectrum, and we're all somewhere on the OCD spectrum. I may be a little higher up than is absolutely healthy for me. Don't worry, Boaty, says underscore, talking about being naked. I was watching Mustard when I got in the bath. Well, that's a bloody relief, isn't it? Bad Book says, a stag road deer got badly injured in the road today. Oh, Christ. He cannot get off the road, so I blocked the carriageway for 20 minutes till the police arrived. There was lots of horn tooting, the bastards. Oh, dear. Oh, hello. Hold the phones. Hold the phones. Bear with me a moment. We need to work up to this one. I hope the roe deer was okay. I've had a few near misses myself because there are many wild deer around here. And once I was driving home, I was in Shison, I was in the Honourable Shison, and suddenly out of nowhere, a huge, massively antled stag just ran out into the road and then froze in the headlights. And obviously, I was toodling along listening to Radio 4. I wasn't on a timed run or anything. And I slammed the anchors on, and after that initial frozen, startled bit, he buggered off and all was well. But yeah, that was a heart in the mouth moment. Now then, listen up. Black Line says, concentrate now, garlic seasoning, ground cumin, and Italian seasoning. Black Lines, you have got 1 out of 3. One of those answers was correct. 1 out of 3. We're getting somewhere now, my lovelies. My goodness me, isn't this exciting? Guess the herb, says Dave Smith. Dandruff, toenails and crabs, 0 points for you. Dinosaur Dad says gold, frankincense and grrr, 0 points for you. Penelope Shitstop. Oh dear. I always watch it. Oh God. I always watch in the nude with the nipple clamps. Just hope the neighbours can see. Sometimes I'm very glad to live in the arse end of nowhere, miles from civilization. A solid bottom reference in the wild. Well played, Dinosaur Dad. Oh, have I missed a bottom reference? I don't think I ever watched it. I'm aware that it existed, but I don't think I ever watched it, so that might have flown over my head. let's rattle through these comments, my lovelies, because time's marching on, isn't it? Jimmy Quinn says, chili powder, garlic. Where's your third guess, Jimmy? Right, so, well, I'll let you off the third one. Chili powder, garlic, 0 points. Where did Plop's garage go, asked Dave Smith. Top guy. Mustard says, I want George Roger Boaty. What, in a carnal sense, Mustard? You never know your luck. Get him well and truly drunk. Lock him in the caravan. That really is very nice. Plum, orange, cucumber, says Simone. 0 points. Fucking hell, really? Nitro 2022. I think a 280 Brooklands is about 35 to 40k for a nice one. Pissing hell. Do any of the rest of you do that? Look back at the mundane cars that you sold for a few £100 that now are fetching like 30 grand. RS Turbos, XR3s, I used to throw those away. It's terrifying, really is. And that was part of my idea of what I thought I was doing now, of trying to lay in cars that you keep in the relatively long term, that you can pick up. Well, I started out buying them for less than £500. That was when I was. That's when the channel was the £500 cheap car challenge. The idea being to buy cars for less than £500, keep them going, and hope that one day they became worth more than £500. But then the pandemic got in the way and everything started getting really expensive, and I've got no idea what this channel is about now. I was talking about this to somebody in the comments earlier, and the only sense I can make of my channel and what I do is this: the community. The fact that a load of really lovely people, all of whom I like, some of whom I've met, all of whom I really, really want to meet, we meet up on a nightly or frequent basis and kind of hang out a bit, and hopefully over the space of the year to come this will become much more of a real life thing. You know, I've got so many plans in that regard. Anyway, let's plough on. I looked on Sainsbury's website, said Jimmy Quinn. That was a waste of time. Matt says fennel, ginger and the other one. 0 points. Don't choke on your wine. I'm trying not to, Cheeseburger. Yeah, for those who weren't with me last night, I tried to kill myself by pouring a full glass of wine directly into my bloody windpipe like an arse. And then spent the next hour and a half basically choking in front of a very live and very bored audience. Yeah, remember, drink, don't inhale. Thank you. Does anyone drink Chablis anymore, asked Cheeseburger. Well, I do when I can afford it, or which is never. So I'll answer that more honestly. I do when somebody buys me a bottle, and I've got a very nice bottle of Premier Cru Chablis sitting waiting for me that is kind of overdue opening. I was going to have it at Christmas and I forgot. And then I was going to have it on my birthday and I forgot. So I might just have it tomorrow for the sheer hell of it. Because that'll be something to look forward to. Do you remember at the start of this live stream, I told you that I was having a terrible day with my emotionally, and I'm really not now. I'm absolutely happy as a sandboy. So we can scrub that part of the discussion. Matt's too damn nice. I had a 70s Capri 3000 GT in 79. Swapped it for a Fiat 130 Coupe. Oh, a Fiat 130 Coupe. A Fiat 130 Coupe. We've had this conversation before. A Fiat 130 Coupe, a car on which the Rolls-Royce Camargue was based. And the Rolls-Royce Camargue was, for a period of time, the most expensive production car in the world. It wasn't throughout its production because it was beaten by... What was it beaten by? Put your answers down there. I'll tell you anyway. It was beaten by the William Townes designed Aston Martin Lagonda. And of course, I had the immense privilege when Sir William Townes sadly passed away. Lady Townes bestowed upon me the enormous privilege of allowing me to dispose of her husband's estate, which I did in an auction that was televised around the world. And I've told you all of the stories about that auction before, so I won't tell you them again. Is it as good as Blue Nun, asks Mustard. Piss taker. Mickey Jeffries. Oh! Hold the phone again, my darlings. Oh, God, this is exciting. My goodness gracious me. Oh, I'm all of a tizzy. Right, prepare yourselves. God, I'm tempted to clutch my little tinkle with excitement. Okay. Mickey Jeffries. Boaty's Infuriator. Mickey Jeffries says, Italian seasoning, garam masala, mixed herbs. Mickey Jeffries, 2 out of 3. Italian seasoning, garam masala, coriander. 2 out of 3, Mickey Jeffries. There's a scratch card riding on this. And Trace immediately follows up with Italian seasoning, ground cumin, and mixed herbs. 1 out of 3, Trace. Matt says, I can't remember which bottle is which. Apart from the screw top, the others are Tesco and Sainsbury's. A lady in Tesco said I'd chosen well. She was stunning, so I value her opinion. This one is the Sainsbury's Taste the Difference, Matt. I've got the doings somewhere, and it's absolutely lovely. In fact, it's low tide at Glass Bay. Replenishment will be along shortly. But I'm all excited about Boaty's Infuriator now. I like the Fiat better, says Jimmy Quinn. Matthias Rose, Christ almighty. I definitely won't, Cheeseburger. Fiat had a little Ferrari engine. Oh, there we are. Excellent idea for the final scratch card. Thank you. Boaty's wine description showing off his grade A English language again. I did get an A. I got an A in all of my A levels. Sorry. Oh dear. Matt says, doing something nice for someone is just nice to do. But I must admit it's a very pleasant feeling when the gesture is truly appreciated. Enjoy, Boaty. I bloody am enjoying it, Matt. This is an absolute treat for me, and I'm genuinely grateful to you. He gave me some trousers too. I haven't mentioned that because I can't think of a way to mention that Matt _ one of the members of our community came to the restaurant and gave me a pair of trousers. I can't think of a way to tell you that without it sounding, quite frankly, weird. So I'll just slip it in like that. Could have given Hubner a man hug. Now, I may have met Mr. Hubnut, Ian, but if I did, it was way back when I was a classic car dealer and he was a wet behind the ears journo. I don't recall meeting him. So I don't know him, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the first burp of tonight's live stream. Yeah, Ian doesn't strike me as a man who enjoys a man hug. I might be wrong, but he doesn't look enormously tactile to me. What do you think? Do you think that Ian Seabrook, aka Hubnut, is a tactile man who would enjoy a man hug? Or do you have any personal experience? Have you or somebody known to you hugged Ian Seabrook? Right. The infidel has found evidence of mice in Bob. Who took the mice to Wales? Oh, what? Has he got Bob out? Oh, yeah, I saw something, some double entendres in a title, something about the first erection of the season and can he get it up? Which I thought, yeah, fair play. Everybody likes a double entendre. Now, I try not to indulge in double entendres, but sometimes it's just so hard, so very hard. But, oh dear, he's got mice in there, has he? Oh, well, what a rotten thing. Mustard says, I'm going to lavish Nigel with lots of attention. Of course you are. You get the show thing, and that's great. I don't, and that's okay too. Vive la différence, that's what I say. Black Lines makes a good point. It's about the community and meeting people though, Boaty. I do agree with that. And, you know, I'm going to be putting on meets of my own. Well, I've got one coming up next Sunday that I don't think anybody's coming to because I keep forgetting to mention it. If anybody is coming, do let me know because I need to book a table. I just think I'm all in favour of the community and meeting people. I just don't think you need to stand out in the freezing cold in a field in order to do it. My idea of meeting people is to meet them at the pub and have a nice drink or a meal, which is exactly what my meeting is about next Sunday, if anybody turns up, because I keep forgetting to mention it. And it's the day after POL, so nobody will want to come because they'll all be knackered. They'll have all been standing in a field. But yeah, my idea was somewhat different. We meet up at a lovely pub in the Peak District and have lunch together. Yeah, call me a swivel-eyed lunatic, but I thought that sounded a rather nice way to meet the community. Oh, Dinosaur Dad says, dried chili flakes, baharat and coriander, 0 points. My card is in a right old state, says Simone. I don't care what others think of it, Boaty. Very healthy. I am selling dustpan and brushes at Cofton Park on Saturday. Are you trying to infer, General Cheeseburger, that the cars are going to be rotting away in a wet field in urban Birmingham? You're missing the point, Boaty, says Bad Books, taking me to task. Now there is this YouTube community. For a lot of us, it is more about the people and the community. I take that on board, Bad Books, and I genuinely take that on board. Yeah, I'm sure for a lot of people that is so, and I accept that I need to alter my mindset, and I will work on doing exactly that. And thank you for poking me in the right direction. Nitro 2202 says, not about that for me. I go to car shows to see cars you just don't see anymore, which gives me pleasure. Fair enough, can't argue with that. Cheeseburger says, Longbridge is depressing these days. It always fucking was. More and more houses, only the roundhouse left really. Even the last of the conveyor is coming out. I knew this, Black Lines. Boaty, I met my wife at a car meet. Pretty sure my old Honda Prelude got it going. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, how would it not? I'll stop guessing, says Matt, in case I win the ticket. I wouldn't worry about it if I were you, mate. You're nowhere near. You got more chance of flying the moon backwards, I would suggest. Oh, Trace is going in again. Italian seasoning, ground coriander, mixed herbs, 1 out of 3. Now, somebody has already got 2 out of 3, Trace. So you really should be getting closer. You should be getting 2s, not just 1. You'd like bottom, says Mustard. I vaguely remember seeing a little bit of it. I think it was a little bit too slapstick for me, or at least for the me that I was then. Maybe I'd enjoy it now. Do you know what I really enjoyed? Rick Mayerlin. That thing with my friend of a friend, Big Greg Davis, where Rick played his dad. I loved him in that. That was really good. Oh dear, the road deer wasn't okay, unfortunately, says Bad Books, but still alive, hence blocking the road. Okay. Chaz Brown says, Italian seasoning, paprika and sage, 1 out of 3. He's never watched Bottom and claims to be cultured, I ask you. Jimmy Quinn says, seasonal ginger and basil, 0 out of 3. Mustard says, I was tempted to lock you in the caravan yesterday. I'm glad you resisted that temptation. Well, hang on. Were you tempted to lock me in it with you inside or outside? If you wanted to lock me in it when you were outside, that'd be okay. Locking me in when you were in there with me, I would worry about. I've got a nasty feeling that Mustard is probably stronger than me these days as well. So if he did decide to go over to the gay side, I wouldn't stand much of a chance, would I? Oh, God. Oh, hello. Jimmy Quinn says, mixed herbs, Italian herbs and turmeric. 1 out of 3, Jimmy. Liz says, rosemary, garam masala. Oh! Right, now we're reaching a really interesting part. Listen carefully. I'm probably way behind on the comments, so somebody might have already got the right answer. But, as at the point I'm reading, right. Liz says, rosemary, garam masala, and za'atar. Okay, Liz, you've got 2 out of 3. But all 3 have been correctly identified now, but not together. All right, but all 3 have been correctly identified. So don't guess anything new. They've all been identified. You just need to get the correct 3 together. So 2 out of 3, Liz. Oh, hello, Roger Boaty is here. Oh, Mummy's in Wales for the next week, is she? Oh, right. Dry as a nun's crutch was Boaty's tipple last night. I was on that rather nice Pinot Grigio last night. I was really aggrieved to have to spit half a mouthful out. Oh, Dinosaur Dad says, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Bye all. Well, good night in extremis. Or in absentia, Dinosaur Dad. Get my Latin mixed up there. It's been a long time since I've studied Latin. That's so nice. I realise there's bigger issues in the world right now, but I'd love to see a decent win on one of these scratch cards, says Matt. I'm happy with a £5. Oh, Trace says, Italian seasoning, garam masala, dried coriander. 2 out of 3, Trace. Project Nigel, Mustard, says the green one is marjoram. Well, that's cheating. You've got to guess all 3. Stephen S. Paul says, we have a Fiat Brava here at work. It's a 1982 model. And I actually saw 2 of those Aston Martin Lagondas in a scrap pile in a yard in San Francisco once. Junk. And Cheeseburger says the Lagonda had awful electrics. Yeah, it did. There were too many of them for a start, but the Lagonda had cathode ray instrumentation. How exciting is that? And I can tell you, I don't know how many of you, if any, have had the opportunity to drive an Aston Martin Lagonda, but I have. I had a good play in one, and they were a tremendously exciting thing to drive. Not dynamically necessarily, but at that point in time, they were just so space age. It was remarkable. Trace says, Italian garlic, ground cumin, dried coriander. 2 out of 3, Trace. Simone says, chives, celery salt, and Italian seasoning. 1 out of 3, Simone. The only person Hugnut likes a man hug from, says Cheeseburger, is Miss Hugnut. Oh, I see, Roger Boaty. Right. Mummy won't be happy to find mice in Bob, but she was looking forward to her time in Wales. God, we're not going down a Hugnut and Mother Roger Boaty route, are we? I'm not sure I can cope with that. I'm coming to the meet, says Matt, then I'll have a drive during lunch and pop back for a fizzy pop after you've all done. Well, that's 2 of us going to be there then. Oh, that's very kind. Project MGTF, Simon, and Project MGTF is of course one of our community channels, as are so many others now. Project MGTF offered to buy me lunch, says Matt, which I think was very generous of him. Unfortunately, sitting down on pub chairs is something I find hard to do. I'm weird. You're not weird, mate. You're just broken. It's not your fault. Arthritic hips are the issue, he continues. It's not hard to sit down, obviously, although I could fall over while sitting down. Oh dear. Technically, he's committed himself to keep streaming until we get a winner. Keep those wrong guesses coming. Longest stream for the worst prize. Oh, don't do that. Right, not sure about that. Trace says, Italian seasoning, ground cumin, ground coriander. 1 out of 3. Does the caravan have a stable door, asked Cheeseburger. If Boaty sticks his head out, then we've found sugar. Yes, it does have a stable door. And when it was pissing down with rain, I did stick my head out so I could smoke outside of the caravan while keeping my arse nicely warmed by the cooker. Oh, excuse me. Mickey Jeffries says, Italian seasoning, garam masala, and turmeric. 2 out of 3, Mickey. Liz says, garam masala, rosemary, and Italian seasoning. 2 out of 3, Liz. Trace says, Italian seasoning, garam masala, ground coriander. 2 out of 3, Trace. Jimmy Quinn says, Boaty, are you selling all your cars? I said I was going to early this afternoon. I did have a bad day. I've had one of those days where just a combination of things just got my balance a little bit the wrong way, and I was feeling a bit hopeless, and I thought, I'm just being stupid trying to keep these cars on the road. 2 of them are broken. I'm never going to be able to get them repaired. I'm absolutely skint. I've got money going out of the bank and no money to put in to cover it. And you're just being a fucking idiot, Boaty, for God's sake. And you're worrying about it. And it's hurting you in keeping that emotional balance. So get the car sold. Just buy one sensible car, a nice Focus diesel. And have maybe, hang on to Wetleg maybe. So you've got one bit of fun. And just screw the loaf. Be sensible and get rid of the worry and actually have the money to do stuff. You know, at least keep one car on the road decently instead of constantly be fighting. But you know, I was in a really down point. I've given myself a bit of a talking to this evening. I've been around all of the guys at work, which I love, and now I've been around you, and I've had a glass of wine, which always helps. Let's have another glass while we're at it. And I'm feeling a bit more optimistic, and so I meant it at the time, Jimmy, I'll say that. And all of my cars are theoretically for sale. I keep saying it, if anybody can offer them a better home than I can, and you want to make me an offer, make me an offer. And to be honest, anybody can offer a better home than I can at the moment. Oh, right, Trace says, rosemary, garam masala, Italian seasoning. 2 out of 3. Skick says, all the things going on in the world and we're guessing what's in a jar. Sometimes, Boaty, I give up. Yeah, but Skick, you know, sometimes you need to escape from all of the things in the world, you know? Sometimes you need to escape from all the things in your own head. You know, I thought, I told you I did what I hoped would be a little fun game that would amuse and infuriate you. I was going to talk about my bad day. I was going to talk about when your mental health balance is a little bit swinging the wrong way. And I thought that would bring a light relief and save us getting bogged down with it. But as so often happens, thanks to you wonderful and amazing people, the live stream has gone in 1,000 different directions, and it's not what I thought it was. And we needed to give the scratch card, kindly donated by Matt, away, and I needed to think of a competition to do that. That wasn't the intention for this, but it works perfectly. So whoever does guess the 3 gets the scratch card. So it might be a bit daft, but sod it, you know. Sometimes you just need to escape from everything that's going on in the world, not permanently, but just for an hour or so. You know, a little bit of respite, Skick. And I know you find some of my stuff a bit silly, and I know you think that I'm capable of talking, you know, reasonably maturely and sensibly, and even with some insight and knowledge from the work that I've done throughout my adult life in the area of mental health and whatnot. So yeah, I have training and insight and professional experience, but it can't all be about that, because I'm not all about that. I'm also a very silly person with a very silly sense of humour. And so you'll get different bits of me at different times. And I think we're all like that, aren't we? And we all need different things at different times. Oh, Roger, Boaty, I'm not reading that. Simone needed to go to bed at the point that she wrote that and says good night. Or, I've driven one before, says Stephen S. Paul, talking about an Aston Martin Lagonda, but at slow, respectable speeds. But it's no Cadillac or Lincoln. Well, no, it's not. It's better. Mate, I owned, and I'm talking about when I was in the UK, not when I was in America. Here in the UK, I owned a Lincoln Continental Mark V Bill Blass limited edition. And if you're trying to tell me that that car was anything other than a wonderfully, I loved it, but it's a wonderfully, joyfully, idiotic, bloody clown car is what it is. You can't take it seriously. And, you know, the Aston Martin Lagonda was, in terms of being a car, it was actually a reasonably sensible car. And by sensible, I mean you can go round a roundabout at more than 7 miles an hour, which you can't do in a Lincoln Continental, because the tyres, the sound of the squealing tyres can be heard for 37 miles away. I did not, Mustard. Cheeseburger says, you need to stick your backside out of the stable door. You can still smoke outside. And Mustard says, yeah, he also farted about 10 times out of the barn door, the bloody gas bag. Right, I did it twice. And you did it inside the caravan, which we agreed was verboten, was a no-no. And you unashamedly let rip on George Rogerbot's beautiful fake leather upholstery. God, I was outraged. Okay, Trace says, dried coriander, garam masala, Italian seasoning. 2 out of 3, Trace. Blackline says, mate, it's not a sign of weakness to sell 3 cars if you're skint. It gives you a bit of runway. Yeah, I know. I do know. And yeah. I hate doing it because if I do that, Mustard and I talk about this a lot. Basically, Mustard and I, we both live beyond our means. That's the truth of it. We don't earn enough to do what we try to do. Although obviously, hopefully our channels will become more successful and that will change. But at the moment, that is the situation. So, if we get a lump of wodge by selling a car, then that money will just disappear. And in 2 weeks or 2 months, we'll be back to square one, but we won't have the car. And that's why we desperately try to hang on to them. But I'm acutely aware that I've got 2 that are broken. And I don't like that because it's not fair on them. And they don't deserve to have to sit broken when just because I'm not able to afford to repair them. So, yeah. So I need to do something. The problem is that I'm also very attached to the cars that I've got left. So I might try and sell something else. An internal organ or something like that. Yeah, I did make a promise last night, Skip, what I was going to talk about, and so far it's been about seasoning. But I did say that it would be tomorrow or Wednesday, didn't I? Because I wasn't sure what the live stream was going to go tonight. And sometimes you have to be led by the chat. I put the seasoning, I'm not going to explain it again. I put the silly game in place because I thought I was going to be talking about that I've been in a little bit of a dark place today and I wanted something to keep it light. And it's just gone in a different direction. But we will speak about it, I promise. We'll do it tomorrow. Or we will definitely do it anyway. Also, says Matt, I'll buy some more scratch cards so we can play again sometime. That would be fun. I should give you the money for the next lot. You can't keep doing all of this out your own pocket. You're not a wealthy man. Well, actually, that sounds awful. I don't know whether you're a wealthy man or not. You drive a streetwise with a dodgy head gasket, so I assume that you're just like the rest of us. Jimmy Quinn says, I'm selling my Fiat and I'm going to buy a car that I can get a mobility scooter in. Oh, well, I'm sad that you're selling the Fiat, Jimmy. But, you know, practicality has to be a thing. Mickey Jeffries says, Italian seasoning, garam masala and sage. 2 out of 3, Mickey. Blackline suggests, sell the Land Rover, pay your bills, fund the repairs on the ZT, sell it, buy another Land Rover. Is that a good idea? But I love Boo. I was even thinking that if I became exceedingly rich and could afford to replace the Freelander with a Discovery 3 HSE, that I would actually transfer the number plate so that it was still Boo. I'm going to keep that number plate. which means that I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll think about it seriously tomorrow. What I really need to do with Stigbürt is I need to throw him down to the guys in the garage, or at least book him in, and get them to look at him and tell me exactly what I need. And then I can make a more informed decision. I mean, some of you have already helped. There is a small amount of money in the pot already going towards Stigbürt repair, which I'm incredibly grateful for. What I should do, as we get towards the end of the month, when we get a bit warmer, the heating is going to be on less, you know, payday at the end of the month and all of that sort of thing. I should get him in, find out exactly what the score is, and then take it from there. Maybe it's not going to be as bad as I think it's going to be. Maybe between us, and you've all offered to help, and I really, really appreciate that. So Liz, bless her, has offered to sort me out with the wheels and tyres on a medium turn loan, which is an enormous blessing. And you know, between us, we can probably source the parts, and I can scratch together enough money for the labour. You know, maybe we can do it. Brian is already a work in progress. Because we're doing stuff with DMGRS and the lovely Philip of P-Scan, and my lovely friend Mustard is, of course, helping out with his expert labour. So Brian is kind of happening already. So that's good. I've just been on a real downer today, and all I've been able to see is negatives, and you know, a bit of anxiety has kicked in and whatnot. And I knew it was happening, and I went with it for a while. I did one positive thing that I forced myself to do. That made me feel a bit better. And then I just kind of rode through it until I went to work, and I knew that that would snap me out of it a bit. I took Boo to work because she had a bit of diesel in, and I haven't got money to put petrol in Shison. And I just love driving her, as I always do. I might have sorted the leaking sunroof a bit. I probably haven't, because it seems too obvious a thing that it can't possibly work. But the sunroof was leaking, and I did this thing, and then it seemed to not be leaking. Maybe it just wasn't raining as hard, or I don't know. We'll see how it looks tomorrow. It's going to rain solidly for the next 5 days, so I can... Sorry, dears. The internet went doolally again. I do apologise. You were probably buffering there, weren't you? Or the screen went blank or something. I don't know what it's like where you are, but the weather is really, really bad here. It's howling wind. The rain is just biblical. Honestly, I'm thinking about building a bloody ark. Anyway, where did I get to? Oh yeah, the Lincoln Continental. When I owned that, I was married, and I couldn't even park it on my own drive. It was nonsensical. I only brought it home one night, and my wife said that I was never allowed to bring it home again. There were 2 cars that she banned from our drive at home. One was the Lincoln Continental, because she said it was ridiculous. And the other, and this might surprise you, was a Citroen CX Safari. And I wasn't allowed to have that at home. Absolutely wasn't allowed. And do you know why? Because she said it looked like a hearse. And she didn't want a hearse parked outside her house. Thank you very much. Right, okay. Oh, here we go. Liz. Rosemary. Garam masala. Chinese 5 spice. You're going backwards, Liz. 1 out of 3. Stephen S. Paul says American cars were never built for English roads and roundabouts. You're not fucking kidding. I like American cars on the freeway, says Cheeseburger. Different kind of motoring. I'll tell you what I did like. The last time I was in Vegas, I hired a Cadillac Escalade for 5 days. That was a nice bit of kit. I enjoyed that. Had a lovely ride out in that, out to Hoover Dam. And yeah, that was cool. And that was quite good fun for hustling around Vegas as well. Trace says, I love the chat vids, the lunch vids, the hilarious vids, the driving, food, stupidness, the lives and community chat. But that's what brings me back to watch the sensible vids. I wouldn't watch anything on Boaty's channel if there was no fun or weirdness or stuff that I want to see. Right, okay, well, we've got some thoughts there. That's interesting. There are some comments that I haven't read out, but I have read them, and I very much appreciate them. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, Matt says, definitely not wealthy, but happy to buy a few daft bits occasionally. I think it's brilliant, Matt. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and I love the idea that, yeah, if we can get this other scratch card won tonight, then I can send them both off together. I'll have a lovely trip out to the post office tomorrow. I'll enjoy that, and I'll make a video about it, and I'll mention this. Oh, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'll do that. That'll be good. We need corpse swap tomorrow. Nobody needs corpse swap. Right, Trace says, Italian seasoning, garam masala, oregano. A little bit of American for you there. 2 out of 3, Trace. Italian seasoning, garam masala, basil. 2 out of 3. Italian seasoning, garam masala, Italian herbs. 2 out of 3. Italian seasoning, garam masala, thyme. 2 out of 3, Trace. We've had all 3 correct answers. All you need to do is to look back through the comments and you will see the answer. We've had all 3. Italian seasoning, garam masala, garlic pepper, says Trace. 2 out of 3, love. Blackline says, if you made it easier to donate to your cause, it would be better than sending 50% to YouTube every time. Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, I had thought about that. So what I thought I'd do is that over the next couple of weeks, I'll get Stigbürt into the garage. I'll get them to tell us exactly what he needs. Then we'll be in a better position to judge. And I'll tell you guys, and bless you, I know you're all willing to help, and I really appreciate it. So if we can find the parts and whatnot, and then when I know how much money is going to be involved in terms of the labour, and I know how much money I've managed to get into the pot myself, at that point then I'll put, if need be, I'll do a community fundraiser thing, and if I can't do it on my own, I've got an idea of some bits to sell to raise a few quid, but we'll see how it goes. I thought I could do a community fundraiser, and if people are willing to chuck a few bob into the pot to get him sorted, then he'd just become a community car, and we could all share him or something, or if and when he was sold, we'd all get a payout, something of that nature. I just want him to be sorted. I'm so angry with myself. I have found out more about what happened on that stretch of road that night, but I haven't really talked about it because it doesn't change anything. Unless I was to go down a claiming route, and I'm not sure how effective that would be. It's not going to change anything. It is what it is. That, you know, the damage was done, but let's at least get him in, and then we can deal with it. But yeah, there won't be no 50% YouTube nonsense. We'll sort something out anyway. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, Trace says, Italian seasoning, garam masala, parsley. 2 out of 3, Trace. Imagine the possibilities of Boaty just being Boaty Skick and accept that the channel will be everything it can be and maybe more. His back catalogue shows his content is random, so who knows? Yeah, and I was saying this to, I do value everybody's input, and certainly Skick's. And, you know, it's nice that he holds an opinion of me that I can do better than some of my nonsense, you know, which is nice. But as I pointed out, that I didn't really have a specific aim or ambition with this channel when I started it. I just started it, can't even remember why. And it's meandered, and there's a load of different stuff. And it's become relatively quite successful quite quickly. And that kind of highlights how random it is, because normally when somebody's got to this point, they've got a very fixed format. And I really haven't. You know, you could watch 5 different videos of mine and think that my channel was about 5 different things, which it kind of is, really. It is about lots of different things. And I don't know where it's going to go. The only thing that I know for absolute certain is that I love the community aspect, and I would do anything to keep building on that. And I want to see that, I hope to see that develop both virtually via this and Facebook group and whatnot, but I really hope that it takes on a much more real life element as well. So I do take it on board. You know, it is random. Some of the stuff that I put out there is dreadful crap, and some of it is more worthwhile. And yeah, that's just how things are at the moment. But things will change. It's it and I and we, in a way, are all a work in progress. And if I start doing more corporate stuff, I'll have to be more sensible and professional. And I do want to become a little bit more corporate because I want the money. I want the money. It's all about the money. But there's always going to be that element of silliness and weirdness, because at the end of the day, it's me doing it. And I am silly and I am weird. It's like Mustard. Whenever Mustard does a car review, he might do it sensibly. Somebody was pointing this out in comments on his video review of my boot. That, yeah, he might cover all of the points that other people will cover, but he does it in his own individual way, with his own individual weirdisms. And I'm the same. I mean, I'm not the same. I'm not weird in the same way that Mustard is weird. But whatever I do, there's always going to be an element of me in it, because at the end of the day, like anybody else doing a YouTube channel or any similar thing, you're not, I don't think you're playing a part. You can't play it, you can't act, you can't put on an act over that extended length of time. You have to be yourself. It's not a scripted television program. It's not a film. And I think if you look at all of the YouTubers, even the ones who have a fixed format, like James, like Chops, right? He's got a very fixed format. He's got a garage. He sells cars, and that's what his videos are about. All of them, and you know, they're really good. But even so, he's still James, and you still get a sense of the man that he is. And it's the same with any YouTuber. It's a very personal medium, this, especially if you do it like I do, where you kind of go the whole hog, and you just let people see your life, warts and all, for good and for bad. And you know, I know a lot of people can't do this because they have families and people to protect, but you know, I welcome you into my home. You've all seen around my cottage, you've all seen the bathroom, you've all seen the garden, you all know my cars, you've seen my fridge. I've bored you to death with my oh, great news, I finally did the folder, booze folder, the Land Rover folder. Everything is all in there now, poly-pocketed in chronological order, and it gave me immense satisfaction to do that. And it's really interesting to go through the history. I might do that with you one day when I want to annoy you. Anyway, where do I get to? Hang on. Right, I did that one. Yeah, I did that one. Trace again. Italian seasoning, garam masala, coriander leaf. 2 out of 3. Oh, God. Matt says, if it wasn't so late, I'd pop over to Windy Bum and put a bottle of sauce on the broken parts. Then the parts would be sourced. Sorry now. Leaking sunroof, get mustard to weld it up. I don't want it welded up, I want a working sunroof. Now, I'm annoyed with myself because now that I know the sunroof has a propensity to leak, I can look at the sunroof and there is evidence that the sunroof has been previously taped up. And when you look, it's not as easy to see on a 4x4 because the roof is that bit higher, but it's very clearly been taped up. And at some point, whether it was before it was part exchange or after it was part exchanged at the main dealer, I'm pretty sure that neither James nor Mike did it, because they would have told me, for fuck's sake, don't open the sunroof. But yeah, the sunroof's been taped up. It's obviously got an issue, and it tilts, but it doesn't slide. And if you look inside the sunroof, it's a little bit crusty in parts. So there's obviously been water ingress. Now, what I did today, I just had this weird thought. I looked at the sunroof, I looked at the roof line, and when the sunroof was closed, it looked as if the level of the sunroof was slightly below the level of the roof, which would cause a water trap, which would exacerbate the problem. So what I did this evening was, when it was leaking and in this torrential rain, I very, very slightly raised the sunroof on the tilt function, just so that it was level with or very slightly above the roof line, so that water trap wasn't there. And I don't know if it's just coincidence, but the roof lining has been dry since then. No sign of any water coming in. So, but I'd like to get it properly sorted rather than just welded up or taped up. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know whether it's seals or blocked drains or drain holes or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, I'd like to do a slightly more proper job. God, look at the time, darlings. We all need to go to bed, don't we? I'm amazed there's any of you still watching. Let's rattle through these. Blackline says, I would be happy to donate to the cause in exchange for the hours of content, but YouTube nicking a massive percentage doesn't sit right with me. Plus you can't even access it for weeks. Yeah, that is all very true. So no, if it comes to it, then I'll just do a direct PayPal thing and put it all on the Facebook group so it's all above board and everybody can see what's going on. Buffering, mustard's off to bed. Oh, Trey says, look at the description of any of his vids. There's a PayPal address in them. Yeah, there is. And that is a direct thing because, yeah, YouTube, I've covered this loads of times. YouTube take a massive chunk, but they provide the platform free of charge, so. It's dry in the Midlands, says Cheeseburger. POL should be fine. I genuinely hope it is. I know a lot of you are so excited about POL, and people are travelling literally from 4 corners of the world to get there. So, you know, I, all joking apart, my rants are not entirely serious. Quite honestly, I had arranged with Mustard that if the timings worked, then I absolutely 100% would have gone. But I just couldn't get the timings to work. And I can't miss Saturday night at the restaurant. It's just not feasible. So, all joking apart, then I would have gone. I can't go. I hope you all have a fabulous day. I will genuinely watch the videos. And there will be other meets, and I will attend them. Matt's got one going up at the Motorist, hasn't he? Maybe that's something we could look at. Right, Black Lines is off as well. I think we all need to go at this point, don't we? Yeah. Oh, good point. What about the ladies in Smalley? Do they have any knowledge on where to look at MG parts? I think, oh, just in time. Somebody's got the Infuriator. Right, I'll whiz through the comments and then I'll come back to that. Okay. Oh, Skip, bless you. You haven't offended me in the least, I promise you. I'm genuinely touched by everything that you've said. I've not taken offence when you've said that this is a worthless pile of crap, because I know it is. It just factors into the mix. And when you say that, you know, I've got a bit of YouTube potential, I'm genuinely flattered. And I'll tell you the truth, Skip. When I did that little bit more serious review on Boo, the Freelander review, I did that because of what you said to me. And I will do more. And please keep the feedback coming. You're not offending me, and I genuinely appreciate it, as I do from everybody else. Regarding Stigbürt, I think what I need to do, because I don't want to ask you to bung in towards an unknown quantity. That's not fair. I'll get him into the garage when I can at least afford to pay them to look, right? So that's going to be where, I mean, we're rampaging through April now. We're on the 12th. I should be slightly less poor by the end of the month, momentarily. I'll get it before the end of the month. I'll get Stigbürt into the boys down the road. We'll find out exactly what he needs. Thanks to Liz, we know we're okay on wheels and tyres in the short term. I'll find out exactly what he needs at that front right-hand corner. We all need to do some research on, well, we all don't, but if anybody could help me, I'd be grateful. We need to find out what we can do with the seat and the deployed seat airbag, and the best and cheapest way to work around that. And once we know what we need and what costs are involved, then I'll say, look, you know, this is what it needs. This is what I've got. If anybody's willing to help, then I'd be so grateful, and the car will become a community car, a bit like Wetleg is now. And, you know, over the year, I'll make sure, well, I don't know, we'll sort it all out. God, I think I've actually got to the end of the comments almost. Headlining out, remove the complete sunroof cassette, refurbish and refit. Thank you, Cheeseburger. I'd love to do that. Boaty, have you got a bank account you don't use so people can put money in? I don't know. I've got a savings account that I don't use because I've never got any savings. Oh, Trace is excited. Right, I've got to the end of the comments now. I'm going to go any second now, but we have a winner. Let me just get back to the comment to make sure that I didn't imagine it. Oh Christ, I've lost it now. Here we are. Right, our winner is Tracy, the Greenwood, one of our community channels. And Trace has solved Boaty's Infuriator by correctly identifying Italian herb seasoning, bosh. Garam masala, bosh. And however you pronounce that, bosh. So well done, Tracy. You win this scratch card, which could easily be worth £5,000. And if you would, under cover of darkness, ping me your postal address, then that and Simone's will go off by first class post. Oh, so sorry. So there we are. Fabulous. We've actually got, yeah. Oh, you'll do an unscratching vid. Fabulous. Another lady's address, yeah. Guys, right, on a serious note, just before I go, honestly, I had a really bad day today, and I was going to talk to you about it, and now I don't need to, because I'm just, you know, thank you so much for being there. Maybe I don't say it often enough. You make a massive, massive difference to my life, literally every day, and I couldn't be more grateful to you. And I hope in some small way that what I do, or that what we as a community do, I hope it helps you guys out too, because you mean the world to me, and you've made the world a different place for me. And you know, I'm just so grateful. And I shall bugger off now before I start blubbing in an unmanly fashion, and I will drink the rest of this absolutely gorgeous bottle of wine that I heartily recommend. And thank you again, Matt, for that. Thank you to the rest of you for being there. I've really enjoyed tonight. Thank you so much. And I'll be back tomorrow at 11 for a shorter one, a bloody shorter one. We've done 2 hours again. Can't help ourselves. Apologies to Mustard for cutting him short. Didn't mean to do it. Didn't know he was going to do one. I would genuinely have happily cancelled this to let him carry on. Thank you to Plop's Garage for bunging me £2. Very grateful for that. Lovely to see some new names in the chat tonight. Great to have James with us, Chop's Garage, because he's a jolly nice bloke, and you know, in a convoluted way, I've got him to thank for Boo, who I genuinely do love, despite the leaking sunroof and speakers that are playing up now as well. But honest to God, Boo is a car like Wetleg that that I would happily commit to just keeping forever. And hopefully, as I hopefully somehow become less poor, maybe by taking the corporate shilling and flogging Chinese sat-navs via my videos, you know, hopefully just getting them up to sniff and whatnot. Anyway, stop waffling. Just go away. Let them go to bed, for God's sake. Buttocks to all of you. Thank you for those unsolicited buttocks. I'm not saying that, Stephen S. Paul. I'm not saying that. This stuff is gorgeous. Thank you again, Matt. Stop saying thank you and just let them go to bed, for God's sake. You'll see them tomorrow. It's not like you're going forever. Play them out with some farting music. Yeah, all right, I will. Oh, and take the mute off. God's sake. Here we go. Volume up. I still find that funny. I'm such a child. Good night, darlings. Stay safe, stay warm, stay dry. Have a safe and peaceful night. And if we're spared, I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thank you so much.